A solar revolution is quietly unfolding across Africa, and it could upend the way the continent powers its future. Imagine solar panels lighting up villages, powering schools, and running clinics in regions where reliable electricity has always been out of reach. This isn't just a dream. It's happening on a scale never seen before. But here's where it gets controversial. Is this surge sustainable? And what does it really mean for Africa's energy landscape? Recent import data signals a dramatic acceleration in solar energy adoption throughout Africa. While solar technology has existed on the continent for over 20 years, already powering everything from pay-as-you-go home installations to rural mini-grids, true large-scale adoption was mainly limited to South Africa and Egypt, countries whose solar capacities are measured in gigawatts rather than mere megawatts. That long-standing trend may now be changing. First, let's get to the numbers that are turning heads. Over the past year, African countries collectively imported 15,032 megawatts of solar panels from China, a staggering 60% leap from the previous 12-month period. If you zoom out even further, imports outside South Africa have nearly tripled in just 2 years, soaring from 3,734 megawatts to 11,248 megawatts. It's not just a story of a few countries making headlines. 20 nations reached new import records between June 2024 and June 2025. 25 imported at least 100 megawatts, compared to only 15 a year earlier. These imported panels could revolutionize local power. If Sierra Leone installs what it imported last year, it could generate electricity equal to 61% of its entire 2023 output. Chad would see nearly half its generation replaced by solar. In 16 countries, solar imports could add at least 5% to their national electricity production. And this is the part most people miss. Importing solar panels isn't just an investment, it's a money saver. Many African nations rely on diesel generators, which drain precious foreign currency on imported fuel. Solar offers a quick payback. In Nigeria, for example, savings on diesel can cover the cost of a new panel in just 6 months. If you consider other countries, where diesel is even pricier, the returns are even faster. But is Africa destined to be the next Pakistan? A nation whose solar imports recently eclipsed those for all of Africa combined, despite having a much smaller population? Not quite, at least not yet. Pakistan's solar boom happened in just a year, and while Africa's numbers are rising rapidly, it's still early days. Change can snowball, as Pakistan's experience proves, but for now, Africa is outpacing its own records, not the world's. Let's not ignore the controversy. Some argue that Africa's reliance on Chinese imports exposes it to supply chain risks. Others point out that a shift so sudden raises questions about grid readiness and regulatory oversight. How much of this growth is truly reaching communities, and how much sits in warehouses uninstalled? A crucial detail fueling all this is that Africa's domestic production remains limited. Most panels come from China, which produces a remarkable 80% of the world's supply. There are some signs of change. Morocco and South Africa now churn out up to 1 gigawatt per year, and Egypt has 3 major manufacturing projects underway. But overall, local industry is dwarfed by imports. Digging deeper into the data, we find that Africa's solar imports hit an all-time record in the year to June 2025. The trend is widespread, not just concentrated in one country. Algeria's imports multiplied more than 30 times. Zambia's rose 8-fold. And several others, including Botswana, Sudan, and Ethiopia, saw their numbers more than triple. South Africa is still the continent's biggest solar importer, for now, followed by Nigeria and Algeria. Here's another angle you might not expect. Solar imports are tiny compared to refined petroleum imports. For most top solar importers, except Algeria, Oil imports overshadow solar imports by 30 to 100 times. Since a huge share of solar panels will replace diesel generator use, this transition isn't just about clean energy, but also energy security. Less money spent on fuels, more reliability for households and businesses. So what about tracking this transformation? This is the part that too often gets overlooked. Chinese customs data offers a valuable measure, but it's only half the story. For one thing, not all exported panels end up installed immediately. They spend months at sea, then even longer in warehouses before entering the grid, if they do at all. Sometimes they're re-exported, complicating the numbers. Satellite imagery can help, as can project-level data, but on-the-ground research is urgently needed. Another wrinkle. Most of Africa's new solar may not be centralized utility-scale projects. Instead, the growth seems even more dynamic in distributed solar, rooftop systems, standalone installations for businesses and homes. This echoes Pakistan's path, where distributed systems drove most of the rapid growth. Perhaps because, as in Africa, power outages, high energy prices, and accessible Chinese panels make local generation attractive. Here's where opinions may clash. Should African governments focus on tracking every panel and planning for distributed solar, or prioritize large-scale utility projects first? Should they invest immediately in energy storage and grid upgrades, or let distributed solar reduce demand for expensive imports and let the grid adapt over time? As you reflect, consider this. If African nations embrace timely data and proactive coordination, they could avoid the pitfalls that Pakistan faced. With better monitoring, policies could be designed to maximize benefits, like encouraging battery adoption for reliability, or integrating small-scale solar smoothly into the grid. Without it, change will still happen, but more messily and potentially less equitably. Now, over to you. Do you believe this surge in solar imports is the beginning of a true energy revolution in Africa? Or are there hidden challenges that could slow or stall progress? Should Africa prioritize distributed solutions or focus on building massive solar fields? Jump into the debate. Your perspective could shape the conversation on Africa's energy future.